The year was 2157. Humans had at last reached the stars. After centuries of looking up at the night sky and wondering what might be out there, they had their answer. They were not alone in the universe. Far from it. The ship Voyager Beyond hovered at the edge of a massive space station. The station was shaped like a wheel with spokes reaching out to a central hub. It hung in orbit around a planet with 3 moons. This was Nexus Prime, the meeting place of the Galactic Council. Captain Samantha Wright stood on the bridge of the ship. She was tall with short brown hair and a serious face that rarely smiled. Right now, she felt both excited and nervous. This was a big day for all humans. "Are we ready, Jack?" she asked her diplomatic officer. Jack Nelson nodded. He was shorter than Samantha, with kind eyes and a calm voice that made people trust him. "As ready as we'll ever be, Captain. The shuttle is prepped." Samantha took a deep breath. "Then let's make history." The shuttle was small compared to the massive alien ships docked at the station. As they approached, Samantha could see dozens of different ship designs. Some were smooth and curved like water drops. Others were angular with sharp edges. All were bigger and looked more advanced than human ships. The docking bay was huge. Aliens of all shapes and sizes moved around. Some had 6 legs. Others floated above the ground. Some had skin that glowed with shifting colors. A tall, slender alien with pale blue skin approached them. It had 4 arms and large eyes that seemed to look in different directions at once. "I am Kirval, junior diplomat of the Council," it said in perfect English. "Follow me. The Council awaits." They walked through long corridors with high ceilings. Samantha noticed how the other aliens stared at them. Some looked curious. Others seemed disgusted. "They don't seem very happy to see us," Jack whispered. "We are new." "Unknown," Samantha replied. "We need to show them that humans can be trusted." The council chamber was enormous. Hundreds of seats were arranged in rising tiers forming a circle around a central platform. Many seats were filled with different aliens. Some seats were empty. Kirval led them to the center platform. "Wait here. Speak only when the High Arbiter addresses you." A hush fell over the room. A door opened, and a tall alien entered. It wore flowing robes of deep red with gold trim. Its skin was dark gray and its face had no visible mouth. It communicated through a series of lights that pulsed on its forehead. "That's Zoltek, the High Arbiter of the Council," Jack whispered. "The Vex Thari are one of the oldest species in the galaxy." Zoltek raised 2 of its 4 arms and the chamber fell silent. "Representatives of Earth," it said, its voice somehow reaching them without a visible mouth. "You come before the Galactic Council seeking recognition and membership. For 10,000 years the Council has maintained peace and order in this galaxy. We have rules, standards, protocols." Samantha stepped forward. "High Arbiter, Earth thanks you for this audience. We come in peace and friendship, hoping to join the galactic community and share knowledge." Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Not all of them sounded friendly. "Share knowledge?" a harsh voice called out. A bulky alien with red scales stood from its seat. What knowledge could these primitives possibly offer? They only achieved faster than light travel 5 years ago. "Counselor Drav, remember protocol," Zoltek said, though it didn't sound like a real scolding. Samantha kept her face calm, though she felt anger rising. "We have developed a unique form of FTL travel that we call the Fold Drive. Our scientist, Dr. Alan Reed, discovered that space can be—" Yes, interrupted another alien, this one with multiple eye stalks. "We have reviewed your Fold Drive. Crude but interesting. Tell us, how did such a young species develop this technology so quickly?" Jack stepped forward. "We came together as a planet. Different nations pooled resources and knowledge. When humans work together, we can achieve great things." Zoltek's forehead lights pulsed slowly. "And yet, your history is filled with war, conflict, environmental destruction. You nearly ruined your own planet before reaching space." "We learned from our mistakes," Samantha said firmly. "Humans grow and adapt, that's our strength." "A convenient claim," said Zoltek. The Council has observed your kind for decades. Your conflicts, your pollution, your aggressive expansion on your own world. These are not traits we welcome. Samantha felt her heart sink. This wasn't going as hoped. With respect, High Arbiter, all species have difficult periods in their development. We've worked hard to... The fold drive specifications, interrupted a small, floating alien near the front. You will share them with the Council immediately. Samantha blinked in surprise. The fold drive is Earth's most valuable technology. We're willing to discuss sharing it as part of trade agreements once... Trade? Drav, the red-scaled alien laughed. It was an ugly sound. You have nothing we need. The fold drive is too dangerous for primitive species to control. The Council will oversee its development. Jack stepped closer to Samantha. Captain, they're not looking for an alliance. They want to take our technology. Samantha squared her shoulders. The fold drive was developed by Earth scientists. It belongs to Earth. We came here seeking friendship and cooperation, not to surrender our achievements. The chamber erupted in angry shouts and hisses. Zoltek raised all forearms for silence. Such arrogance is typical of young species, Zoltek said. The Council has voted. Earth is denied membership at this time. You are not ready to join Galactic Society. And the fold drive? Samantha asked, her voice hard. You will provide complete specifications to the Council within 1 Earth month, Zoltek said. Until then, human ships are restricted to your home system and 5 light years beyond it. This is for your own safety and the safety of the galaxy. Samantha felt cold anger settle in her stomach. And if we refuse? Zoltek's lights pulsed rapidly. Then economic sanctions will be imposed. No Council world will trade with Earth. Your species will be isolated until you learn your place. Samantha and Jack exchanged glances. This wasn't a diplomatic meeting. It was an ambush. We will bring your demands back to Earth's government, Samantha said carefully. But I must be clear, humans do not respond well to threats. It is not a threat, Zoltek said. It is the way of the galaxy. The strong guide the weak. The old teach the young. The Council has spoken. The journey back to Earth was quiet. The crew of the Voyager Beyond felt the weight of disappointment. They had hoped for new friends, new allies, new knowledge. Instead, they found a galaxy that looked down on them. What do we do now, Captain? Jack asked as Earth appeared on their view screen, a blue marble in the darkness. Samantha looked at her home planet and felt a surge of pride and determination. Now we show them exactly what humans can do when backed into a corner, she said. If they don't want our friendship, they'll have to live without our help when they need it, and someday they will need it. You think they'll regret rejecting us? Samantha nodded. I know they will. Humans are stubborn that way. We don't give up. We adapt. We overcome. If the Galactic Council won't have us, we'll make our own way in the stars. She didn't know how right she was, or how soon the Council would regret their decision. 25 years passed since the day Earth was rejected by the Galactic Council. The world had changed. At first there had been anger and hurt pride. Many wanted to fight back, to show the aliens they had made a mistake. Others wanted to give in to hand over the fold drive and accept the Council's terms. In the end, Earth chose a third path. Frank Mason stood by the window of his office on Lunar Base Alpha. Once a young lieutenant on the Voyager Beyond, he was now an admiral with gray in his beard and deep lines around his eyes. His uniform was simple but carried the symbols of United Earth Defense. Below him spread the vast shipyards where new vessels were under construction. These weren't like the humble ships of 25 years ago. These were sleek, powerful, and kept carefully hidden from the Council's watchful eyes. Admiral, Dr. Diaz is here to see you, said a voice from the speaker. Send her in, Frank replied. Olivia Diaz was one of Earth's brightest minds. Her dark hair was pulled back and she carried a tablet under her arm. Her eyes were bright with excitement. It works, she said without greeting. The quantum shield. It works, Frank smiled. You're sure? We tested it against every weapon the Council is known to have. It holds. They won't be able to touch our ships. Frank nodded. This was good news. Not that they planned to start a war. Earth had been careful to follow the Council's rules, at least the ones they could see. Human ships never ventured beyond their allowed zone. Human diplomats attended the yearly council meetings, sat quietly, and said very little. To the Council, it seemed that humans had accepted their place as a minor, limited species at the edges of galactic society. They were wrong. How are the other projects coming along? Frank asked. Olivia pulled up information on her tablet. Paul Collins on Mars has the matter-energy converters running at 80% efficiency. That's better than anything the Council has. Susan Cho's team on Europa has finished the adaptation serums. Humans can now survive on worlds the Council thought would kill us. And the biggest news... She paused, looking around even though they were alone. William just sent word from Station Prometheus. The thought lattice is working. They've achieved full human-AI integration without losing individual identity. Frank felt a chill run down his spine. This was what they had been working toward for years. The Council races had tried similar technology and failed. Their AIs either remained separate tools or took over their hosts completely. Leave it to humans to find a middle path. A true partnership between human creativity and machine processing power. Has the Council noticed anything? Olivia asked. Frank shook his head. They've grown complacent. Their observers report that Earth seems to have settled into its role. They think we're still angry, but resigned. A smile touched his lips. They don't look too closely at our research stations. They don't question why we mine so many resources from our asteroid belt. They assume we're just busy with our own little corner of space. Olivia looked out at the ships under construction. And they have no idea what we're building. No, Frank agreed. They don't. Far away on Nexus Prime, Kevin Harris, Earth's ambassador to the Council, sat through another boring meeting. For 25 years, he or his predecessors had attended these sessions, saying little, asking for nothing. At first, the Council had watched them carefully, expecting protests or demands. As the years passed, interest faded. Humans were seen as a curiosity, a young species who had briefly shown promise but ultimately accepted their limited place in the galaxy. After the meeting, High Arbiter Zoltek approached Kevin. The alien hadn't changed much in 25 years. The Vexus Thari lived for centuries. Ambassador Harris, Zoltek said, the lights on its forehead pulsing slowly. Another quiet session from Earth. One might think you have nothing to contribute to galactic affairs. Kevin gave a small, polite smile. We're still learning, High Arbiter. Earth is focused on developing our own world and the few colonies we're permitted. Zoltek made a gesture that might have been amusement. Perhaps it is time Earth petitioned for membership again. The Council might be more receptive now that you have shown proper respect for our ways. That's kind of you, Kevin said carefully. But Earth has found its own path. A limited path, Zoltek noted. Restricted to your small zone. Denied access to advanced Council technology. Cut off from the main trade routes. Kevin maintained his smile. We manage. Zoltek studied him for a moment, then seemed to lose interest. Well, the offer stands. When Earth is ready to take its proper place in the Council hierarchy, do let us know. After the High Arbiter moved away, Kevin let his smile fade. If only Zoltek knew what managing really meant. Back on Earth, President Laura Garcia stood in the underground chamber where Earth's greatest secret was kept. The new Geneva facility was buried deep beneath the Swiss mountains, shielded from Council scans. Before her stood a giant ring of metal and crystal, the first interstellar gate. Unlike the fold drive which moved ships through space, the gate created fixed points of instant travel. Step through in one location, emerge in another, light years away. The Council would be horrified if they knew. They believed such technology impossible. Is it ready? Laura asked the lead scientist. Dr. Ryan Phillips nodded. We can open a stable connection to Alpha Centauri. From there we'll build another gate, then another. A network that the Council can't detect or control. Laura looked at the gate with pride. How many worlds have our scout ships found beyond Council space? 23 with native life, Ryan said. 5 with intelligent species the Council has ignored or deemed too primitive to contact. All of them eager to meet humans who treat them as equals, not subjects. Laura smiled. And the special project? The one even most of our own people don't know about? Ryan lowered his voice. The Dawn fleet is nearly complete. 50 ships with our most advanced technology. If we ever need them, they can reach any point in Council space within days. Laura nodded. Earth wasn't building for war. They were building for independence, and for the day when the Council might need their help. Because sooner or later, the complex balance of the galaxy would shift. Something would happen that the ancient, rigid Council couldn't handle, and Earth would be ready. On his way back to Earth, Ambassador Kevin's ship picked up an emergency transmission. It was badly garbled, but he could make out a few words. Attack. Unknown entity. Worlds fallen. Council forces defeated. Kevin sat up straight. Send this to Admiral Mason immediately. Priority 1. The crew member looked concerned. Sir, what is it? Kevin stared at the message repeating on the screen. It might be nothing, or it might be exactly what we've been preparing for. The time when the Galactic Council would discover just how much they had underestimated humanity. The time when Earth would finally show its true strength. 50 years had passed since humans first met the Galactic Council. For most of that time, the powerful alien races had forgotten about Earth. They thought of humans as a minor species, living quietly in their small corner of space. That changed when the Scourge arrived. No one knew where they came from. Beyond the edge of the galaxy, perhaps, or from another galaxy entirely. What everyone knew was that they consumed everything in their path. The first sign of trouble came when a Council outpost went silent. The Council sent ships to investigate. None returned. They sent more ships. They disappeared too. Then reports came in from the planet Vexnar, one of the oldest Vexthari worlds. Strange ships were in orbit. Not ships exactly, more like living things. Black masses that moved like a swarm of insects, but each one the size of a small moon. We are under attack, said the message from Vexnar. Unknown enemy. They are landing. They are. The message cut off. 3 days later, Vexnar was gone, not destroyed, consumed. Where forests and oceans and cities had been, only bare rock remained. The Scourge had eaten everything, every plant, every animal, every Vexthari. 2 more worlds fell in the next month. The Council military, unused to real war after thousands of years of peace, failed to stop the Scourge. Their weapons seemed useless. The Scourge adapted to whatever was used against them. On Nexus Prime, the Council met an emergency session. The chamber, once full of hundreds of species, now held fewer than 50. Many delegates had fled to their homeworlds. Others were already dead, their planets consumed. High Arbiter Zoltek looked older now. The lights on his forehead pulsed weakly as he called the meeting to order. The situation is grave, he said. The Scourge has destroyed 3 major worlds and dozens of outposts. Our fleet has suffered heavy losses. Our weapons are ineffective. A delegate from the reptilian Krek species stood up. What about the defense shield around Barrack Prime? Did it hold? Zoltek's lights dimmed. No. The Scourge adapted. They sent smaller units through gaps in the shield. Once inside, they grew and consumed the shield generators from within. Fear filled the chamber. The defense shield of Barrack Prime was thought to be unbreakable. What is their next target? Asked another delegate. Based on their path, they will reach the Centauri system within 3 weeks, said a military officer. From there, they could move in any direction, including toward Council core worlds. Murmurs of panic spread through the room. The Centauri system was far from most Council worlds, but not from Earth. It was where the human colony of Terra Nova had been established, just at the edge of their permitted zone. Has Earth been informed? Asked a delegate. Earth is a minor concern, snapped Zoltek. The Council must focus on protecting our core worlds. An older Council member spoke up. High Arbiter, with respect, we should consider all options. I have heard rumors that the humans have developed unexpected technologies. Zoltek made a dismissive gesture. Rumors only. Our observers report nothing unusual from Earth. They have stayed within their zone as required. And yet, the older member persisted. They have colonized harsh worlds we thought would kill them. They have built ships that, while fewer in number than ours, show unusual design features. Zoltek's lights pulsed with annoyance. What would you have me do? Beg these primitives for help? The Council has ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years. We do not need human assistance. Even as he spoke, another emergency message arrived. The Scourge had taken another world. The death toll was now in the billions. Zoltek's pride finally cracked. Send a message to Earth, he ordered. Request their presence at an emergency council session. 3 days later, a human ship arrived, at Nexus Prime. It was larger than previous human vessels, but still modest by council standards. What the council members didn't know was that this ship, the Guardian, contained technology beyond anything they had imagined. Carol Reeves stepped off the ship into the council chamber. She was the Secretary General of the United Earth Government, the highest human authority. She was an older woman with short gray hair and steady eyes that had seen much in her long career. The chamber was different from what she had seen in briefings. Dimmer. Emptier. Fear hung in the air like a bad smell. Secretary General, Zoltek said, attempting to sound dignified. The Council thanks you for your prompt response to our invitation. Carol nodded but said nothing. Let them speak first, she had decided. Let them ask. Zoltek continued, uncomfortable with her silence. The galaxy faces an unprecedented threat. A species we call the Scourge has invaded Council space. They consume all organic matter on planets they attack. Nothing remains. Carol listened as Zoltek described the Scourge attacks, the failed defenses, the rising death toll. Our analysts believe they will reach the Centauri system within 2 weeks, Zoltek concluded. Your colony of Terra Nova is at risk. We are aware, Carol said, her voice calm. Then you understand the gravity of the situation, Zoltek said. The Council has reconsidered Earth status. We are prepared to offer provisional membership and access to Council technology in exchange for any assistance you might provide. The chamber was silent, waiting for her response. Carol looked around at the frightened faces of beings who had once looked down on humans. Earth will consider your request, she said simply. Zoltek's lights flashed with surprise. Consider? Billions have died. Your own colony will be next. What is there to consider? Carol met his gaze steadily. You've had 50 years to consider. Earth as an equal partner. Now you offer membership only when you need something from us. She turned to leave. I will bring your request to my government. We will respond when we have made our decision. How dare you, shouted a vexed Stori delegate. The Council offers you a great honor and you treat it as nothing. Carol paused at the door. 50 years ago you told Captain Wright that the strong guide the weak and the old teach the young. Perhaps now the young will teach the old a thing or two about survival. She left the chamber filled with angry and scared aliens. On her way, back to her ship, Carol activated her secure communicator. It linked directly to Earth through technology the Council couldn't detect. Mr. President, she said, it's as we expected. The Council is desperate. The Scourge is real and heading toward Terra Nova. President Benjamin Russell's voice came through clearly, despite being light years away. Our response? Terra Nova is already evacuating through the gate network, Carol said. But we could save a lot of lives if we engage the Scourge before they reach populated systems. Is the Council worth saving? The President asked. Carol thought about the scared faces in the chamber. They're arrogant and set in their ways, but most of them are just people trying to survive. They don't deserve what the Scourge is doing to them. There was a pause. Then the President said, Activate Defense Plan Omega. Admiral Daniels is already moving the fleet into position. Carol smiled. Of course the fleet was ready. Earth had been watching the Scourge for weeks through their own long-range scanners. Preparations were already underway before the Council even noticed the threat. And the Council's offer of membership? The President asked. Should we accept it? Carol looked back at the council station growing smaller behind her. No, she said. Earth has found its own path, but we'll help them anyway, because that's what humans do. Back in the council chamber, the delegates argued about Earth's response. Some were angry, others worried. They will do nothing, Zoltek declared. They are too weak, too limited. We must prepare to defend ourselves. An aide rushed into the chamber. High Arbiter, we are detecting unusual energy signatures at the edge of the Centauri system. The Scourge? Asked Zoltek with dread. No, said the aide. Ships, hundreds of ships from Earth. The Council observation station near Alpha Centauri was small and outdated. It had only a skeleton crew, as few wanted to be stationed so close to where the Scourge was expected to arrive. The 3 aliens on duty watched their screens with growing fear. Energy signatures increasing, said Krell, a 4-armed technician. The Earth ships are moving into formation. How many? Asked the station commander. 327 vessels, Krell replied. Most larger than we thought. Humans could build. The commander shook his head. It does not matter how many they are. The Scourge will consume them all. We should leave while we can. Suddenly, their screens lit up with new alerts. The Scourge is here, Krell shouted, emerging from fold space. They watched in horror as the dark mass appeared. It wasn't ships in the normal sense. It was like a living cloud made up of millions of smaller pieces, each one moving with purpose. The commander prepared to send a final message to the council before evacuating, but then he paused. The human fleet wasn't retreating. It was advancing. What are they doing? He whispered. The human ships moved with precision. They were sleek and deadly looking, nothing like the bulky vessels the council had seen before. At their center was a massive flagship twice the size of any other ship. The Defiance. On the bridge of the Defiance, Admiral Eric Daniels stood calmly. He was a tall man with dark skin and a confident manner. Around him, his crew worked at their stations with quiet efficiency. Each wore a small device behind their ear, the thought lattice that connected them to their ship's AI and to each other. Scourge. Formation holding at 2 million kilometers, reported Lisa Morgan, his tactical officer. Through the thought lattice, Eric could feel her tension but also her readiness. All ships report ready, Admiral, said Communications Officer John Rivera. Terra Nova evacuation is complete. No civilians remain in the system. Eric nodded. Begin Phase 1. The human fleet spread out in a complex pattern. The council observers had never seen ships move so perfectly together. It was as if they shared one mind. Energy weapons charged, Lisa reported. Targeting Scourge central mass. Fire, Eric ordered. Beams of bright blue energy lanced out from the human ships. Where council weapons had barely scratched the Scourge, these beams cut through it like a knife. Great chunks of the dark mass broke apart. The council observers watched in shock. Impossible, the commander whispered. The Scourge adapts to all weapons. The Scourge is changing pattern, Krell reported. It's trying to adapt. The dark mass shifted, thickening where the human weapons hit. But the humans changed tactics too. Their ships moved to new positions and their weapons shifted to a different frequency. Again, the beams cut through the Scourge. Again, the Scourge tried to adapt. It was a deadly dance, with the humans always one step ahead. The thought lattice is giving us the edge, Eric said to his officers. We can change tactics faster than they can adapt. The Scourge seemed to realize this. It changed strategy, breaking into smaller pieces that rushed toward the human ships. Phase 2, Eric ordered calmly. The human fleet shifted again. Smaller, faster ships moved forward while larger vessels held position. When the Scourge fragments approached, they hit invisible barriers, quantum shields that the council thought was impossible technology. Shields holding at 97%, Lisa reported. From the larger ships, new weapons fired. Not energy beams this time, but swarms of tiny drones. They moved through the Scourge mass, targeting specific points with surgical precision. The drones are working, John said. They're disrupting the Scourge's ability to communicate with itself. The battle continued for hours. The Council observers who had planned to flee now couldn't look away. They recorded everything, sending constant updates to Nexus Prime. Intro. The Council Emergency Chamber. The delegates watched the battle with growing amazement. Their best fleets had been destroyed in minutes by the Scourge. The humans were not just surviving, they were winning. How is this possible? Zoltek demanded. Where did they get such technology? Carol Reeves stood at the back of the chamber, watching the feeds. We developed it ourselves, she said, while you were ignoring us. Impossible, a Vexthari delegate said. These weapons are beyond your level. The quantum shields alone would take centuries to develop. Carol smiled. Perhaps for you, humans work differently. When we're told something is impossible, we take it as a challenge. On the Defiance, Admiral Daniels moved to Phase 3. Launch the cleansers, he ordered. From the largest human ships, special vessels emerged. They moved deep into the Scourge mass, seemingly swallowed by it. For a moment, nothing happened. Then pulses of white light spread outward from where they had disappeared. Where the light touched, the Scourge disintegrated. Not just damaged, completely broken down to base elements. Cleansers operating at full capacity, Lisa reported. Scourge mass reduced by 60% and falling. Eric nodded. Begin containment procedures. The human fleet moved into a sphere formation around what remained of the Scourge. Their weapons fired in a coordinated pattern, herding the surviving Scourge pieces toward the center. Containment field active, John reported. A shimmering bubble formed around the Scourge remains. Inside, the darkness thrashed and twisted, looking for a way out. There was none. Compression phase beginning, Lisa said. The bubble slowly shrank, pushing the Scourge tighter and tighter together. As it compressed, the bubble began to glow brighter. What are they doing now? The Council commander asked, still watching from the observation station. Krell checked his readings. It appears they're converting the Scourge into energy. The bubble shrank to a tiny point of brilliant light. Then with a final flash, it was gone. Where a massive Scourge fleet had been, there was now only empty space. Containment complete. Lisa reported on the Defiance. No Scourge remains detected in the system. A cheer went up from the crew. Eric allowed himself a small smile before returning to business. Casualties? He asked. 7 ships damaged, John replied. 2 with serious systems failures. No ships lost. 14 injured crew members. No fatalities. In the Council chamber, silence fell as they watched the human fleet regroup. The Scourge that had destroyed their most powerful defenses had been defeated in hours by ships from a species they had dismissed as primitive. They did it, someone whispered. They actually defeated the Scourge. Zoltek turned to Carol Reeves. We must know how you did this. What is this technology? How did you develop it in secret? Carol met his gaze calmly. The Council restricted where we could go, not what we could learn. You watched our borders but paid little attention to what happened behind them. A military advisor approached Zoltek. High Arbiter, we're receiving reports of Scourge forces near the Vexthari homeworld of Kalamar. What's left of our fleet cannot reach them in time. Zoltek's lights pulsed with distress. He looked at Carol. Will Earth help us again? Carol's communicator beeped. She checked it and looked up. Admiral Daniels is already moving the fleet toward Kalamar. Our faster ships will arrive in 12 hours. Zoltek stared at her. Why? Why would you help us after how we treated you? Carol's expression softened slightly. Because that's what humans do. We remember the past, but we don't let it control our future. She turned to leave the chamber but paused at the door. The Scourge has attacked 3 more systems. This war is just beginning. The Council has a choice to make. Work with us as equals or watch from the sidelines. As she walked away, Zoltek realized that Earth had not just developed new technology. They had developed a new way of thinking. And for the first time in 10,000 years, The Galactic Council would have to change or risk becoming obsolete. The age of Council dominance was ending. The age of humanity had begun. 6 months had passed since the Scourge first appeared. 6 months of battles across the galaxy. 6 months in which everything changed. The human fleet, once hidden, now moved openly through Council space. Where the Scourge attacked, human ships arrived to fight them off. Planets that would have been lost were saved. People who would have died lived. After each victory, the humans did something the Council races found strange. They stayed to help. They sent medical teams to treat the injured. They deployed special ships that could repair damaged ecosystems. They shared food and supplies with those who had lost everything. Admiral Eric Daniels stood on the bridge of the Defiance, looking at the view screen. It showed the planet below, Kalamar, the ancestral homeworld of the Vexthari. Half of it was brown and lifeless where the Scourge had begun feeding before the human fleet drove them off. Restoration ships report they're making good progress. "Admiral," said John Rivera, "the southern continent's ecosystem should recover within a year." Eric nodded. "And the Scourge?" "No signs within 10 light years," Lisa Morgan reported. "The last group was destroyed yesterday, near the Pleiades sector. It seems we've won," Eric said quietly. "You sound surprised, sir," Lisa said with a small smile. "Not surprised, just thoughtful." Eric looked at the damaged planet below. "The Scourge is defeated, but look at what it cost. Billions dead, dozens of worlds damaged or destroyed. And the Council? The Council is a mess," John finished. "Half, the species are talking about leaving it. The other half want to rebuild it with human help." "And what does Earth want?" Lisa asked. Eric turned from the view screen. "That's not for us to decide, but I think we're about to find out." On Earth, massive construction projects filled the skies. Space elevators reached from the ground up to orbital stations. New cities shimmered with advanced technology. Ships larger than anything seen before moved between planets in the solar system. Earth had been busy for 50 years, and now they didn't need to hide it anymore. In New Geneva, a grand building had been constructed for a special meeting. It was designed to hold representatives from many species comfortably, with chairs and environmental settings for all body types. President Benjamin Russell waited in his office. He was an older man with gray hair and a calm face that showed wisdom, earned through years of difficult decisions. "They're here, Mr. President," his aide said. Benjamin stood up. "Show them in." The doors opened, and Zoltek entered, followed by 20 other council representatives. The High Arbiter looked diminished, somehow. The lights on his forehead pulsed weakly, and his once proud stance was now hesitant. "Welcome to Earth," Benjamin said. "Please be seated." The aliens sat in chairs designed for their various bodies. Some needed special breathing equipment, others required specific gravity settings. Earth had prepared for all of this. "High Arbiter," Benjamin began. "6 months ago you came to us for help. Earth answered that call. The Scourge is now defeated. Thanks to human technology and bravery," Zoltek admitted. "The Council owes Earth a debt we cannot repay." Benjamin smiled slightly. "I did not invite you here to collect debts. I invited you to discuss the future." He touched a control, and a holographic display appeared in the center of the room. It showed hundreds of star systems, many beyond Council space. "In the 50 years since you denied Earth membership, we have not been idle," Benjamin said. "Our ships have explored far beyond the borders you set for us. We have found many habitable worlds and met 15 other intelligent species." The Council members looked shocked. Zoltek's lights pulsed rapidly. 15? But we only know of about 300 in the entire galaxy, discovered over 10,000 years. "You only looked where you expected to find them," Benjamin said. "Beings similar to yourselves, with technology developing along familiar paths. We looked everywhere, and we found life in places you never considered." The hologram changed to show various alien beings, some similar to known species, others wildly different. "How did you establish contact without Council translation technology?" a delegate asked. Benjamin smiled. "We built our own. Better than yours, as it happens. We can communicate with species that don't even use sound to speak. The hologram changed, again showing new star systems with human ships in orbit. We have established the human cooperative of worlds with these 15 species, not as rulers or teachers, but as equals. Each brings unique perspectives and abilities. Together, we've made discoveries that none of us could have made alone. Zoltek stared at the display. And now you bring us here to gloat? To show us how you have surpassed the council? No, Benjamin said firmly. I brought you here to offer you a choice. He stood and walked around the table. The Galactic Council is dying, you know this. Half your members are talking about leaving. The Scourge exposed the flaws in your system, your rigid thinking, your slow response to threats, your belief that age always equals wisdom. The aliens shifted uncomfortably but didn't disagree. I am offering the Council species membership in the human cooperative, not as leaders, just as equals. Bringing your knowledge and experience to the table, learning from others as they learn from you. Silence filled the room. Finally, Zoltek spoke. You would accept us? After how we treated Earth? After we dismissed you as primitives and restricted your growth? From the doorway, an elderly woman stepped into the room. It was Dr. Nicole Chen, one of the junior scientists from the original Voyager Beyond mission. Now in her 90s, she walked slowly, but her eyes were sharp. I was there, she said. When you rejected us, I felt the sting of your contempt. For 50 years, I helped build the technologies that eventually saved your worlds. She looked at each alien face. I could be bitter. Many humans were at first, but that's not who we are at our best. We remember the past, but we don't live in it. Your rejection forced us to become better, to find our own path. We won't make the same mistake with you. Zoltek rose from his seat and, in a gesture never before seen from a Vexthari, he bowed his head. Earth has shown wisdom the Council lacked. I cannot speak for all, but I believe many would accept your offer. Before Benjamin could respond, his aide hurried in. Mr. President, urgent news. The representatives from Tralcon, Pyrrhus, and Mendari have contacted us directly. They're bypassing the Council and requesting immediate membership in the human cooperative. Zoltek's lights dimmed with shock. These were founding species of the Council, among the oldest and most respected. If they were leaving, it seems, Benjamin said gently, that the choice is becoming clearer for everyone. He turned to Zoltek. The universe is too vast for grudges. We're offering you something better than revenge. We're offering you a future. Your choice. Zoltek looked out the window at Earth, the planet he had once dismissed as primitive. He saw the space elevators reaching to the stars. He saw ships moving with grace and purpose. He saw a world that had not just survived the Council's rejection, but had thrived because of it. We accept, he said simply. As the Council delegates began discussing details with human representatives, Nicole Chen stepped to the window beside Benjamin. Did you ever imagine this day? The president asked her quietly. She smiled. Not exactly this, but I always knew humanity would find its way. Not because we're better than them, but because we're different. We adapt, we imagine, we cooperate, that's our strength. Beyond Earth's atmosphere, ships from a dozen worlds moved in harmony. Some were Council vessels, others from the human cooperative. Together they patrolled for any sign of remaining scourge. Earth had walked away from the Council and its limited vision of the galaxy. In doing so, they had created something better, not just for themselves, but for all species willing to join them as equals. The stars were no longer distant lights to be admired. They were destinations, and humanity was just getting started.